Imagine waking up on the side of the road with nothing but 2 hungry children and no idea what to do next. That was Chika's life. The sun was just rising over the noisy streets of Lagos. Cars honked. People rushed. But Chika didn't move. She sat by the side of a busy road, holding her twin sons in her arms. Her clothes were old and dirty. Her hair was rough and messy. Her eyes looked tired, too tired for someone so young. The boys were quiet. FMG, the older one, tried to smile. But his belly made a loud noise. He was hungry again. His little brother, Obubet, leaned on Chika's shoulder, too weak to cry. Chika didn't know how she got here. One day, she had dreams. She had love. She believed in a man who told her sweet things. His name was Amici. He had promised her a big house, happy children, and a life full of joy. But when she told him she was pregnant, he changed. First, he avoided her. Then he stopped answering her calls. And one day, just like that, he was gone. Her father called her a disgrace. Her mother cried, but couldn't protect her. They kicked her out. And from that day, Chika's world became dark. She had begged. She had cleaned toilets. She had slept under bridges. All just to feed her boys. But now she was tired. Her feet hurt. Her bones hurt. Her heart hurt the most. People passed her by. Some looked away. Some whispered. No one stopped. Until one black SUV slowed down. The driver tapped the brakes. The car dipped a little in a pothole. Inside the car, a man sat in the back seat, scrolling through his phone. His name was Kingsley. He was dressed smartly, with shiny shoes and a fancy wristwatch. He looked out the window casually, but something caught his eye. He saw her. And he froze. No, it couldn't be. He leaned forward, pressing his hand against the glass. That face. Those eyes. That woman. Chika, he whispered. His heart began to race. Memories came flooding back. Years ago, in secondary school, Chika had been the girl everyone admired. Smart. Beautiful. Always surrounded by friends. But she had never noticed him, not really. Back then, Kingsley had been shy, quiet. Just one of the boys who sat in the back. But he had never forgotten her. Pull over, Kingsley told his driver. The car stopped a little ahead. Kingsley stepped out, his leather shoes clicking on the road. He walked slowly toward the woman sitting under the tree. As he got closer, he couldn't believe what he saw. It was Chika. But not the same Chika. This Chika looked tired, scared, and broken. Chika, he said again, softly. She looked up, blinking. Kingsley, she whispered, her voice dry and cracked. They stared at each other. The city noise around them faded. The twins held tightly to their mother. Chika's lips trembled. Leave, she said, her voice shaking. Please, just go. But Kingsley didn't move. He crouched beside her, his voice kind. What happened to you? Tears filled Chika's eyes, but she blinked them away. It doesn't matter. You can't fix it. Kingsley looked at the boys. They are small bodies. They are sunken cheeks. You can't stay here, he said. Let me help you. Chika pulled her sons closer. I don't need your pity. This isn't pity, Kingsley replied gently. It's care. You don't have to be alone, Chika. She shook her head. People always leave. You leave too. Not me. Just then, FMG gave a weak cry and held his stomach. Obubet whimpered softly. Kingsley's heart shattered. He turned to her, eyes pleading. Let me take you home. Just tonight. So they can eat and sleep. Chika looked down at her sons. Their tiny hands. Their tired eyes. She nodded slowly. Just tonight. Kingsley helped her up. She could barely stand. He gently led her and the twins to the car. The boys didn't say a word. They just held on. As they drove off, the city moved behind them. Chika stared at the window, her heart full of fear. What if it was a trick? What if she had made a mistake? But then they arrived. Kingsley's house was big and beautiful. Light spilled from the windows. The air smelled clean. The boys' eyes lit up. Inside, a hot meal was waiting. Jollof rice, fried plantain, pepper soup. The twins ate like they had never seen food before. Chika didn't touch her plate at first. She was too ashamed. But when she finally took a bite, she couldn't hold it anymore. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Take your time," Kingsley said gently, handing her water. After dinner, the boys were bathed and given clean clothes. They curled up in bed and fell asleep smiling. Chika sat alone in the living room, her hands shaking. Kingsley sat across from her. "Chika, tell me what happened." And so she did. She told him everything, from the sweet lies of Amici to the cold streets that became her home. When she finished, Kingsley's eyes were filled with fire. "He left you? He never came back?" She shook her head. "I begged. I cried. But no one came. Until now." Kingsley reached out and took her hand. "Then you're not alone anymore." Chika didn't speak. She just looked down, her eyes full of silent tears. That night, as she lay in a warm bed with her sons beside her, Chika whispered one word. "Why? Why now? Why Kingsley?" Was this truly help, or just the beginning of something new? The next morning, Chika opened her eyes slowly. For a second, she forgot where she was. The soft bed sheets, the quiet hum of the AC, the smell of toast and eggs, this wasn't the street. This wasn't the cold ground. This felt like a dream. But the tiny fingers wrapped around hers reminded her it was real. Her sons were still sleeping beside her, peaceful at last. She sat up slowly and looked around the room again. It was clean, neat, and warm. A soft rug covered the floor. A clock ticked gently on the wall. Everything was quiet, too quiet for someone who had lived in noise and fear for so long. She stood up and tiptoed to the bathroom. The mirror caught her face. Her eyes looked less tired. Her skin was still dry, but her soul, it felt different. She whispered to herself, "I'm still here." Downstairs, Kingsley was already up, dressed in a plain t-shirt and joggers. He was frying plantain in the kitchen. The smell filled the house. When Chika came down, she stood at the edge of the living room, unsure if she was welcome. Kingsley looked up and smiled. "Good morning, Chika." She smiled back quickly. "Morning. You slept well?" She nodded. "Too well." They both laughed, softly, but it felt good. Like something was waking up inside her that had been dead for years. "The boys?" Kingsley asked. "Still sleeping," she replied. "They've not had a bed in months." Kingsley served her a plate. "You too? Sit. Eat." She hesitated, but hunger won. As she ate, Kingsley sat across from her. "I made some calls," he said gently. "I spoke to my friend who runs a small cleaning company. They need help with someone honest and hardworking." Chika froze. "You want me to work?" "Only if you want to. I help with the kids. But I know you, even back then, you never liked sitting around." Tears stung her eyes. "You're offering me a job?" "Yes." "And a roof?" He nodded. "And food?" He smiled. "That too." She put her fork down and stared at him. "Why, Kingsley? Why are you helping me?" He leaned forward. "Because I remember you. I remember how kind you were to people. I remember your dreams. And because I can't just walk away." Chika wiped her eyes. "No one has helped me like this before." "Well, now someone has." That day, Chika started cleaning the house with energy she didn't know she still had. She mopped. She arranged books. She washed the boys' clothes. And every time she looked at her children playing on the clean tiled floor, she felt something warm in her chest. Hope. That evening, she tucked the boys into bed and came downstairs. Kingsley was watching TV. He smiled when he saw her. "They love it here," she said quietly. "They deserve it," he replied. Then there was silence, but not the awkward kind. It was peaceful. Chika sat beside him on the couch. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Of what?" "That this will all disappear. That you get tired of me. That the world will come knocking again." Kingsley shook his head. "You don't have to be afraid anymore." "But I've made mistakes," she whispered. "I trusted the wrong man. I let my family down. I slept on the streets." "You survived," Kingsley said firmly. "And that makes you strong, not weak." She looked at him. His eyes were kind. Honest. That night, as she went back upstairs, Chika felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safe. But safety doesn't mean peace forever. The next few weeks were good. Chika got a cleaning job and worked hard. Her boss was impressed. She smiled more. She laughed with her sons. Her body grew stronger. Her eyes brighter. Kingsley helped too, driving the kids to school, buying books, even learning how to braid Abubet's small hair. They became a team. Like a little family. But one day, as Chika was sweeping outside, a black car drove slowly past the house. She looked up. The car stopped. And from inside, someone stared at her. A man. With sharp eyes and a hard face. Her heart dropped. She knew that face. It was Amici. The same man who had abandoned her. The same man who told her he would love her forever, then left her alone, pregnant and crying. Now he was here. Their eyes met. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just stared. Then, slowly, he drove off. Chika stood frozen, her broom shaking in her hand. That night, she didn't tell Kingsley. She couldn't. Not yet. She didn't want to bring trouble into this piece. But deep inside, she knew. Trouble was coming. Chika couldn't sleep that night. She kept turning on the bed, her eyes wide open, staring into the darkness. Every sound outside made her jump. Every car that passed made her heart pound. Amici had found her. How? Why? What did he want? For 3 years, he had disappeared from her life, no phone call, no money, no care. He left her alone with 2 babies and a heart full of shame. Now he was back. Staring at her like a stranger, or a hunter. Chika got up quietly and checked on the boys. They were fast asleep, hugging each other like they always did. She kissed their foreheads. "I won't let anyone hurt you again," she whispered. But she didn't tell Kingsley. Not yet. Not while she was still trying to figure out what was going on. The next morning, she wore her strongest face and went to work. She smiled, cleaned, and pretended like everything was fine. But inside, a storm was building. That evening, she picked up the twins from school. As she held their hands and walked down the quiet street, she felt it again, that cold feeling on her skin. Someone was watching. She turned around. And there he was. Amici. Standing beside a black car. Leaning on the door like he owned the world. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "So this is where you've been hiding." Chika froze. The twins looked up at her, confused. "Mommy, who is that man?" FMG asked. "Come," she said quickly, pulling them close. "Let's go." "Wait." Amici called out. "You're not even going to greet me." Chika didn't reply. She walked faster. "I came to see my sons," he shouted behind her. "They are my blood too." She stopped. Her hands were shaking. Her mind was screaming. But she turned slowly and faced him. "You don't get to call them yours," she said, her voice cold. "You left me. You left them." Amici walked closer. "I made mistakes. But I've changed now. I have money. I can take care of them." "They don't need your money," she snapped. "They need love. They need presence. Where were you when we were sleeping under bridges? When they cried for milk and I had none?" "I was going through things," he said, trying to sound soft. "So was I," she shouted. "But I didn't run. People were starting to look." A woman in a nearby shop paused her sweeping. A man crossed the road to avoid the noise. Amici stepped even closer. "Look, I don't want trouble. Just let me be part of their lives." Chika stood her ground. "You are not walking back into our lives like nothing happened." "Then maybe I'll come with the police," he hissed. "I have rights." Chika's eyes went wide. "You have the nerve to threaten me? I'm their father. And I'm not going away." Then he got into his car and drove off. The boys clung to her legs, scared. "Mommy, is that man bad?" She knelt down and hugged them tightly. "Don't worry. I'm here. No one will take you from me." That night, she told Kingsley everything. He listened quietly, his jaw tight. When she finished, he stood up and walked to the window. "He followed you," Kingsley said. "He found where we live." "I didn't tell him anything, I swear." "I know," he said softly. "I believe you. What do we do now?" Kingsley turned. His eyes were calm but serious. "We fight back. But not with fists. With truth." The next day, Kingsley called his lawyer. They filed a restraining order. They gathered evidence, no birth support, no visitation, no records. All of it was clear. Amici didn't care until now. But he didn't give up easily. One afternoon, Chika returned from work and found a letter taped to the door. Court summons. He was suing her for full custody. She dropped to the floor and burst into tears. Kingsley picked her up, held her close. "He's trying to scare you. That's all." "But what if the court listens to him?" she sobbed. "What if they take my babies?" "They won't," he said. "You're their mother. You've raised them with nothing. That matters." The court day came. Chika wore a plain dress. Kingsley stood beside her. The twins sat quietly, holding onto her scarf. Amici came in a suit, with fake smiles and shiny shoes. He told the judge he wanted to reconnect with his kids. That he had regrets. That he was ready to be a father. Then it was Chika's turn. She stood up, hands shaking, heart racing. "I don't want to destroy him," she said. "But he left me when I needed him the most. He wasn't there when they were born. He never sent 1 naira. My sons don't even know him. And now, after years of silence, he wants to take them away." She paused, tears running down her face. "They are not prizes. They are my children. My life." The courtroom was silent. Even the judge looked moved. Later that day, the ruling came. Amici lost the case. Chika walked out of that courtroom with her sons beside hers. Free from fear. Free from him. But as they stepped into the sunlight, she saw him one last time, across the road, watching them with angry eyes. Chika took a deep breath. Then turned away. The past was behind her. But her heart, it was starting to look toward the future. And someone had been standing beside her the whole time. Kingsley. The court case was over. Amici was gone. But Chika was still standing. She had walked through fire. She had cried tears no one saw. She had faced shame, hunger, rejection, and survived. Now, for the first time in a long while, she felt something strange rising in her chest. Peace. She stood in the small backyard, watching the twins chase each other with soap bubbles. Their laughter filled the air like music. Kingsley stepped out with a tray, fresh juice and roasted plantain. "You didn't have to do that," she said, smiling. "I wanted to," he replied. She looked at him, really looked. This man who had once been nothing more than a classmate, now stood like the wall she never knew she needed. Gentle, kind, firm. Safe. "You've done too much for me already," Chika whispered. Kingsley sat beside her. "And I'm not even finished yet." She blushed. The sun touched her skin, soft and golden. Kingsley took her hand, slowly. "Chika," he said, "can I tell you something?" She nodded. "I didn't just help you because I felt sorry for you. I helped you because he paused, swallowing. "I love you." Her eyes widened. "I've loved you since school. You were always so smart, so kind. But I never had the courage to say it back then. Then when I saw you that day, on the road with your children, I knew I was being given a second chance. Not just to help you, but to love you the right way." Tears filled her eyes. "Kingsley," she said softly. "You don't have to say anything now. I just want you to know. Whatever happens, I'll be here. For you. For the boys. If you let me." She smiled, tears falling freely. "Thank you," she whispered. "For not giving up on me." The boys ran up just then, laughing and dragging Kingsley to play. That night, after they were asleep, Chika sat alone in her room. She opened her small wooden box, the one where she kept memories. Old photos. A hospital tag from the twins' birth. A folded letter she once wrote to herself, "Don't give up. One day, you'll smile again." She smiled now. She didn't know what tomorrow would hold. But she wasn't afraid anymore. The next few months were like blooming flowers after rain. Chika got a better job through one of Kingsley's friends. She started saving. The boys began calling Kingsley Wanko K. Sometimes even Daddy. And then one quiet evening, Kingsley took her to a small garden filled with lanterns and soft music. He knelt down on one knee. Her hands flew to her mouth. "Chika," he said, voice shaking, "will you marry me?" She couldn't speak. She nodded, eyes full of joy. He slipped the ring on her finger, and she burst into laughter and tears at the same time. The crowd of a few close friends clapped and cheered. The twins ran up and hugged her legs. "Mommy said yes." FMG shouted. "Mommy's going to be a bride." Obubet giggled. It was the beginning of something new. A few weeks later, Kingsley said, "We should visit your parents." Chika froze. Her parents. She hadn't seen them in years. Not since her father kicked her out for getting pregnant. Her mother had tried to sneak her food once or twice, but she always cried when they met. Now, Kingsley wanted her to face them. "You don't have to," he said gently. "Only if you're ready." "I think I am," she whispered. The journey back to her village was quiet. As they approached the compound, her hands trembled. She stepped out of the car. The twins held her hands. Kingsley stood close beside her. Her mother was sweeping the front yard. When she saw Chika, she dropped the broom and ran. "Chika," she cried, grabbing her daughter. My baby, my baby." Chika held her tight, both of them crying hard. Her mother looked at the boys and hugged them too. Then came the silence. Her father stepped out. Older now. Slower. His eyes looked tired and full of regret. "Papa," she said, voice cracking. He looked down at the ground. Then up at her. His voice was rough. "I was wrong." Tears welled in his eyes. "I thought I was protecting you, but I only pushed you away. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I am sorry, Chika. Truly sorry." Chika walked up to him. She touched his hand. "You hurt me," she said honestly. "But I forgive you." Then she pulled him into a hug. That night, they ate together as a family for the first time in years. The twins played with cousins they'd never met. Kingsley sat proudly beside her, smiling. Later that evening, her father called Kingsley aside. "You're a good man," he said. "Thank you for not leaving her like I did." Kingsley nodded respectfully. "She's the strongest woman I know." The wedding was small, simple, and perfect. Chika wore a cream-colored lace gown. The twins walked her down the aisle, holding her hands. Kingsley waited at the altar, eyes wet with love. As they said their vows, everyone cried. Even Papa. Even Mama. Even the priest. When they danced that night, Chika felt light, like all the pain had been lifted from her shoulders. She had lost everything once. But now she had love. She had family. She had joy. She had a second chance. And she had taken it with both hands. Sometimes, life breaks us in ways we never expected. But even in the middle of the pain, love can still find a way to reach us. Chika's story reminds us. You may be abandoned, mocked, or forgotten. But you are not alone. You are not finished. And your story is not over. Some people will walk away when things get hard. But the right one, the one meant for you, they will stand, stay, and help you rise again. Sparkles, if this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts, I'd love to read them. And guess what? An even more powerful story is coming your way in just a few days. So if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on your notification bell. Because the next chapter of hope, heartbreak, and healing is about to begin. Thank you for watching. Stay strong. Stay kind. And never stop believing in love.